Hey m0ns00n, great to have you here. To start off, could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Hogne Titlestad. I'm 46.
Oh.
Don't feel like it, but this is life. I've been working with computers for my whole career, which is kind of a hobby that turned into something serious, just as a matter of fluke. And I've been building some projects, some ambitious projects and some less ambitious projects. That's what I kind of like to do. I like to be creative, and I'm fortunate to have been able to work with my ideas my entire working life. So to rephrase that, I'm a person who loves creating things, and I've been allowed to do that through circumstance, and now I have a lot of amazing projects that I'm enthusiastic about, and that I guess sums me up.
Yeah. How did you first get into computers, and what was your first machine?
So back in the days, in the 80s, it was very common that parents bought used computers for their kids.
Oh yes.
Buying new computers was expensive, and computers were readily available in corporate offices, of course, costing, astronomical sums of money. But then the home computer revolution started, and my father, he thought my sons need to be, verbose in computers.
Yeah.
And so he got a used Commodore 64, and pretty fast, both me and my brother were, using this computer. I think I was 6 years old.
Oh.
I remember opening the Commodore user's guide, seeing
Been
the
there,
balloon,
done that.
the balloon in BASIC.
Yeah.
And it took some time to type in all the codes correctly. And I remember back then, there were like spelling mistakes in the manual. So you were like looking over and over again and didn't make kind of sense. The peaks and pokes that was standing in, on scattered across the pages. But eventually I got it working, and that was the first computer.
Yeah.
And that really propelled me into wanting more. So I think it was my brother, he got, after that, an Amiga 500, and I think that's when it really started.
Okay. So first the C64, and then the Amiga 500.
Yeah.
If you remember, did you have any other Amigas with your brother, or just alone after that one?
So I got an Amiga 500. I think, if I don't remember incorrectly, my dad bought me one because I was so, I was occupying my brother's machine all the time. And that was an Amiga 500. It was not the Plus. It was like the original 500.
Yeah.
And then I got into, kids back then, they were like using Xcopy to copy apps and games.
Yes, of course.
And I got very interested in all the different games. Like, you had the music program, the Aegis Music, and you had all these softwares, some in the workbench and some in, just booting up on floppy. And I was I think I had seen on TV, and I had heard and I had seen somebody using a 3D program on an Amiga, and I was amazed. And I managed to hunt down Turbo Reel, which was one of the first versions of Real 3D, which was a big 3D package on the Amiga, competing with Lightwave. And I managed to get, I think it was Turbo Reel, I think it was 1.4, but it was so slow. it was so incredibly slow. And then the Amiga 1200
Oh yeah.
were released, and that was the first Amiga I got new in the packaging.
Just for yourself then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, because at that point my brother were more going into guitars and stuff like this. He lost interest.
Oh.
And I was basically on my way into nerddom, becoming a nerd.
Yeah. Do you still have any of your old gear? Is everything gone by now?
I thought everything was gone, but just the other day I unpacked an old plastic bag in a cardboard box, and there was an Amiga mouse, I think the ROM chips of Amiga OS 3.0, and antenna cables for the C64, and so of course it pops up from now and then, but I don't have any machines anymore.
Okay. What was the first thing you did outside of gaming on those old computers?
I think that was Deluxe Paint.
Okay, so painting then.
Yeah,
graphics.
I think it was Deluxe Paint because so what was going on was that at that time there was a computer store in town. It was called Serad.
Ah yes, I've been there.
Yeah, and it was, back then it was kind of like
Did Sega turn into Space World, or were they competitors? Oh
no, it turned it. I think they sold to the franchise. But back then it was like you got in there. There were some kind of hard, like some of them were kind of like hard rock types, and some of them had a shirt on, but they were like real nerds.
Yeah.
Living and breathing the stuff. And the walls were filled. In one of the spaces for the Commodore 64, you had like cassettes on the walls.
Yeah.
And there were all kinds of cool stuff. But the point was that they were so passionate of what they were doing that they actually borrowed potential customers' stuff. And so I think we got what's it called again? DigiPaint, the whole digitizing thing with a video camera.
So you could borrow it without paying for it?
Yes.
But then you must have been a known customer then, not some random guy off the street.
No, and we got, I think my dad was paying one of the guys to do tutoring, to teach my brother how to do stuff, and he just brought a lot of equipment and software. Okay. And one of those software packages were Deluxe Paint, and my brother were inspired to make a lot of animations. And me being like 3 years younger than him, I was just trying to copy everything he was doing.
Yeah, of course.
And so I ended up using Deluxe Paint too. Not as amazing results as he would have, but it kind of lit the fire.
Yeah, so you got into graphics before coding, actually?
Yeah, pretty much. I think my brother was making like game menus in Amiga DOS. So you could, one for Paperboy, two for whatever.
Yeah.
And so he was part of this group thing with some other kids in town. And he was busy doing that kind of stuff. He used, what was the name of it again? There was not Directory Opus, but there was something else he was using to make the discs.
Oh, there were several. Of course, I can't remember them right now, but...
I mean, back from the Amiga 500 days, you used Kind Words, for example. It was an old application. And that kind of file manager looked a bit like the Workbench 3.1 era type of things. But it was the same kind of thing like Directory Opus 4. And it allowed you to make floppy disks bootable, put in an early menu, do some, screen flashing.
Yeah.
So he was doing that kind of stuff, and that got me interested. Of course, I had, programmed in BASIC on the C64, just copying the shit from the user's manual.
Yeah.
But on Amiga, the BASIC was not easy to use. It was buggy. It was not the same thing.
No.
So I couldn't really use it for anything. But when my brother was making these disks, I got interested in Amiga DOS. And I started learning how to make scripts on the Amiga DOS.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's how I really got closer to programming.
In recent years, or should I say recent, but you have met a lot of, how should I say it, people that have worked for Commodore, Amiga, and other developers that we adored back in the days. Which one of these people you have been lucky enough to meet impressed you the most? Either by something he said, or just about the way he was.
I think Bryce Nesbitt was probably the guy that impressed me the most. He lived in this termite-infested house in Berkeley. Making webcams for some Chinese company in his basement. And he was just talking about how he was not putting his kids at university because they would be all replaced by AI. And this was like, I think it was probably like 2019 or something like this. So it was before the whole chat. He knew everything that was going on.
He worked for Commodore?
He had been a part of building Amiga OS 2 and 3.
So one of the
he took over. I think he took over from Carl Sassenrath. Because Carl Sassenrath made the original exec, and he made the kind of the second and third one.
The next generation.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I heard the name, but I could not place him. You see, he's one of the lesser known types, perhaps.
He's down there in the basement, probably.
Yeah, down in the basement.
Like growing weed plants out of the sidewalk.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the most impressive guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty impressive. I mean, I met Dave Haney. He's also a pretty impressive guy. I met pretty much everyone, I think. And I think they were part of a generation that was just very impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Programming. Do you remember the moment when you first realized you could actually create something on the Amiga?
Of course, I did try to get into assembly. I don't remember when that was. I think it was one of my brother's friends who knew how to do that. And of course, back in the day, you got magazines with assembly courses.
Yeah.
But when I started the editors, they weren't like normal editors where the cursor kind of moved. It was like it was obvious that people who used assembly had been programming since before you had normal code editors.
Yeah.
Right. So just the key combinations, there were like no save in the menu. It was like key combinations, kind of like Vim today on Linux. Like it was really arcane stuff.
Vim came from the Amiga, did it not?
Did it? Could be.
I think it did originally.
Well,
I could be mistaken, but I think so.
I wouldn't be surprised. And but anyway, because it was from the DOS era, even on Amiga OS, some of these apps, these coding tools, seem to be DOS-based, Amiga DOS-based. And it didn't feel like the Commodore 64, where I had done some programming and got results.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into that. Then I got into Amos, as I've been talking about before. I got into Amos, and that was also through this tutor from Serad. And he was originally teaching my brother.
Yeah.
But, I just sucked it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
And the whole thing that I could iterate by writing code, testing it in console, debugging it in console, run the game, pause the game, check the variables, go back to the code. And that allowed me to make actually several programs. I made several programs on Amiga using Amos, and then later Amos Pro, and just advancing that way.
Yeah. What was the first program or game you released publicly?
I think it was Squeak.
That game?
2000. No, that was from 1997.
Oh.
Yeah. I found a walkthrough on YouTube a couple of years ago.
Oh.
I realized I will recreate that game.
Oh, yeah, okay. Why not?
Yeah, and I also made many other things, but I've been so lousy at keeping stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't have source codes or anything of the old stuff.
But you learned mostly by that guy from Sarah then and friends?
I think I got he was not really a programmer, right?
So
So
he just read from a book and tried to show you?
yeah, I think the work that was put down in the user's manual of Amos
Yeah.
and the whole thing was so amazingly tuned to young minds
Yeah,
that
I would
I
agree.
taught myself how to do the whole thing using the manual.
Wow.
It's just so straightforward.
Yeah. Were there any early frustrations that made you want to stop or push through?
Like programming
Yeah,
wise?
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go into C programming because I understood that all the cool apps that I used were programmed in C. And I used to see like SAS-C and all the different C packages that at that time you had to buy. Storm C, there were like several
Yeah.
compilers and environments. And I was envious of all those people who could use those.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get into it. But every time I started, there was you couldn't get a book like the Amos book
No,
for C, right?
No.
So you'd go to your teacher at school here in Norway in the periphery outside the capital. They had no clue. And especially not on the Amiga. And so I went to the library and I found books from like old with brown paper and like trying to you have to learn about hexadecimals and all kinds of stuff, and it just seemed so scary. But I kept going. But it took probably until I was around 21, 22. I started picking it up. And it wasn't really until I was about 24 years old that I wrote my first real C programs. So it took a long time to change from basic.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
What tools were you using back then, if you remember, outside of Amos? And what tools are you using today?
Back then, it's a very special time in computing, and I think all kids were exposed to such a rich variety of categories of software. You were using Audio Master on the Amiga to edit sound samples. I remember there was a time people were doing on the Amiga. You have 4 audio channels of 8-bit, but when you overlapped 2 and 2, you could get stereo 14-bit or something like this. And so they faked even better sound. And so you had Octamed was a big one. I used Octamed a lot. I used to, when I were at home with my parents and I had friends over, I would go to dinner and they would be using my Octamed editor and making shit, using my sound sampler to make stupid noises and putting them in. So it was music, and it was 3D, and it was, you had, what's it called again? You had the video titler that everybody was using in Norway at the airports.
Scala.
Scala, yeah. So Scala was, I used that for school presentations. It was every category, which probably helped me in my career later, working in design bureaus and so on as a programmer, understanding all the tools they were using.
Yeah, of course.
And today, it's kind of the same thing. I'm still using Blender. I'm still using sound tracker software. I'm still using stuff like Audacity, which is like Audio Master. So I'm using all the same categories of software I was using back then. And that experience has allowed me to advance with these modern tools, which are much more, of course, complicated and so on.
Indeed. Let's see. Games. Which games had the biggest impact on you back then?
It's hard to say. I'm not the kind of guy who has favorites of things. But of course, Monkey Island was amazing. Rick Dangerous was played all the time. I mean,
I remember that one.
Yeah, if I had nightmares, my brother was like a night owl. So if I had nightmares, he was often open and up.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, let's play Rick Dangerous.
yeah, why not?
So that was a cool one. Gianna Sisters, because that was one of the first games. Ninja Mission on the Amiga was the very first game I was playing.
Ninja Mission? I can't remember that one.
On the Commodore 64, it's kind of different.
Yeah.
I used to play it there, but on the Amiga it was like a arcade game with big sprites, and it was amazing. I think single player, sitting by myself for hours and hours, Monkey Island, even Dreamweb. I remember I was so proud when I had solved that Dreamweb.
One, yeah.
It seemed like such a complex game.
I didn't play that. My friend did though, and he was quite good at it. He loved those games.
Yeah, I think it was one of the good ones on the 1200.
Yeah, it was. Did any games make you curious about how they were made?
Of course, but especially games like, for example, Larry, Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, Larry!
Yes, this one really fascinated me because you could type in English.
Yeah.
It was like a early kind of interface, like an AI interface, right?
Yeah.
You were just typing stuff in English, and it responded and moved stuff on the screen. And to me, that was really magical. That it could understand me, kind of. And as a kid, you kind of see it in a different way.
Just like you're talking to the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it guides you in the story.
I can see that.
That was the same with Space Quest and those things. It's like all those type of games inspired me.
Yeah. What was the most impressive technical thing you saw back then?
Obviously, ray tracing.
Oh.
Ray tracing, like there was a world inside the computer that was not pixelated, like you could zoom in forever. And this was actually especially so for real 3D, because Imagine and Lightwave and those applications, they were polygon based, but real 3D was spline based. So what that means is they had curved surfaces that when you zoomed in forever were still curved. They weren't like just points. They were like interpolations between, let's say, 1, 2, and 3 points. It would do a curve along those 3 points. So you could really make like spheres and stuff that looked really round and different things. And it felt like it was physical in some way, with just an extreme delay of when it came to the screen from the computer and when you were rendering it. So I think this one was... but I mean, I also had fascinations for stuff like Xcopy. Because it could copy some copy-protected floppies.
Yeah, it's good.
And it was just magic to me. Like, it didn't make any sense that it was possible. So there were a lot of applications that were mesmerizing that way.
Okay. Is there any piece of software or application you still miss on modern operating systems today?
Yes. I'm, of course, obsessed with Amiga OS.
Yeah.
Because, of course, it feels a bit old now when I use it. Although you can, of course, tune it and so on.
Yeah.
But it just feels, when you're using Amiga OS, you don't feel like you're using a surface. It feels like you're using a space.
Yeah.
It has some depth to it with the screen stacking and everything. And going in through the layers, through the DOS, and going through the layers into the disks and into the folders. Yeah. Of course, today in modern systems, you just like search and your files come up, or you just use recent files or something. So you just feel you're having a feed. It becomes more and more like the web. Yeah. But the Amigas felt like you were going in the closets and you were in a house, your own house.
Yeah, but now you're talking about the OS itself. I'm leaning more towards, is there any application you miss? Is there anything that isn't really there anymore? Or is everything replicated?
That's a very good question, because an application is for something.
Yeah,
And
correct.
And a lot of the applications back then were for a different purpose than they are today. For example, Deluxe Paint wasn't for making Disney movies.
Indeed.
It was for having fun, basically.
Yeah.
Or you could use it for game graphics, which it was long past the Amiga's
lifespan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was used, on Super Nintendo or whatever.
Sega.
But it was a lot of software that was made for fun. And I don't think we have that much software anymore that were just made for fun.
No. Oh, you're correct.
People aren't just animating and sharing in communities. They have to do it for their business for a podcast or so.
Yeah, there might be some free online tools, but I'm not aware of them. But
there was a lot more playful back then, and especially in the shareware and freeware world.
Yeah,
you found people who just made stuff for fun, games for fun, different things. I remember for many years I followed this Happy Penguin, which was the Linux games site. And you still had a kind of hacker community back then. That site is pretty much dead. There's, that whole mentality that was on the Amiga and to a certain degree on Linux for a few years seems to be gone.
The generation thing, I would suspect. It's more something we would find interesting, and perhaps the younger generation just don't care.
No, that's a very puzzling change. But it also has a little bit, I think, to do with the whole culture. I mean, we grew up with E.T. and, the movies, everything was so full of fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Never-ending story, all this. It was very dreamlike.
Yes.
Kids today, just seeing the cartoons and everything, it's a completely different world, and they're grown up with these devices that don't allow you to peel any layers.
Indeed. We did get a little bit into the Amiga OS itself. Is there any key aspect or part of the OS itself you miss in modern systems? The libraries, devices?
Yeah. The whole thing I loved about Amiga OS was how it felt like property. Although it wasn't open source or any of these things, you could literally take the pieces of your OS, move them to floppies, almost like physical, put the floppy in a different machine, move them back, migrate your system file by file. You could actually copy the entire OS onto a different computer and have the same system there.
I really liked how modular it was. You could change libraries, and if one version was unstable on your system, you could find an older or a newer, and now it's working.
Yeah, no, that was amazing, and I've been obsessed about trying to recreate that flexibility ever since that time. But yeah, the whole feeling that it's not the black box, it's actually an architecture, so everything has its own place, and the place it has is so distinct that you can remember it.
Yeah.
When you go to a Linux system today, it's just .so files everywhere, and you have no idea where anything is, and they have these 3-word acronym folders that seem to be from a time before file systems. So in a way, the oldest architectures made in the 70s and before won out, and now the whole world is run on these arcane Unix machines. It's as if COBOL won and we never got JavaScript.
Okay. We've been talking about several things now. The Demoscene. How did you get started with that? I guess you've seen a lot of demos, but how did you get into the Demoscene yourself?
First of all, I wanted to get in for many years. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be. Back then, it was like when you were calling up a BBS in the old days. You had to have VIP access
to get to the good stuff.
And then all over those BBSs were like Demoscene names. So,
Yeah.
so you kind of felt like there was a next level to things.
Yeah.
And if you were at that level, you would understand more about 3D graphics. You would get access to the masters and those type of things. So it was a feeling of being left out if you weren't in a demo group. And so I was trying to get in. And eventually, of course, I joined your outfit, Resistance.
Yeah.
And could do my graphics there. So and what I experienced it was very hard to get in because there was
It's they don't accept just anyone. You have to have some creativity and skill, or they will just look funny at you.
Yeah, and you also have to have some kind of networking skills. At least back then, you had to have some kind of networking skills because you couldn't just be a dude. There was no office you could show up. You had to be invited in.
Yeah.
So,
but that was more the cracking scene. If you wanted to get in there, you had to know someone, or they would just shun you. So
yeah. Of course, a lot of those groups back then did funny business.
Yeah, but they started out doing cracking duties, and then they started doing demos, intros, and then it became a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Favorite demos of all time? Any platform is doable.
I've been thinking about this, and I cannot come up with any favorite demos.
Not even one?
No. It's just like with favorite game, or I never really had favorite things. Like you never saw like rock stars on my walls in my childhood.
Okay.
I don't, but I do love groups like How Job is amazing. You know, Spaceballs.
Yeah.
They deliver amazing stuff. I love the demos. You know, you had the early Kefren stuff that I remember from the Amiga 500 with amazing animations and so on. Like, I wish this was a game and not a demo, right?
Been there, done that.
Why do the great graphics, why is that, why do you see that and consume it in demos and not in the games? I always wondered. Because they made amazing effects and stuff, and you never saw that kind of stuff in games.
Indeed. Are you still active in the demo scene today, or just watching from afar? Or
I think I'm kind of watching from afar. I do have one project which I can speak a little bit about it, but
yeah, sure.
So in 2002, I think, I met this guy online, Jacob Kron, a Swedish developer.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it happened, but it could be that his game Tux Puck was on Happy Penguin, and I emailed him because I thought the graphics were so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to help him with graphics.
Yeah.
And so he responded, and we collaborated for a while, and I made some graphics for him. And the game hasn't been updated in 9 years. And so this Easter, I started working on it. And now it's full HD, recreated all the graphics. And it needs a distributor. It needs somebody who can... this is one thing that perhaps I could deliver through a demo group.
A game?
A game with music, multiplayer, arcade mode, leaderboards, play online. I have a lot of ideas, and the game is progressing. The development is progressing fast.
Yeah. Cool. What do you think about the current state of the demo scene today compared to back in the golden days?
I kind of feel like it's ebbing out into these huge parties out in Europe. I feel that a lot of, let's say, nerds, they don't fill the chairs of the old-timers. And I remember in 2012 and those years around, let's say the 2010s, there was some new talent coming in.
Yeah.
But I think that was the last decade, as far as I can see. I just don't think that the younger generations have this hacker mentality. anymore. They're not infused of enthusiasm.
No, could be.
So it feels to me like it's ebbing out, but it's going to still be around for many more years, just because we don't die that quickly.
Well, indeed. Do you have any funny or just weird stories from either a release you worked on, a demo party you attended, anything that's scene related?
Well, I'm reminded of Solskogen.
I think I know where you are going with this one.
Yeah, there was one guy who was looking for his shoes.
The Finnish guy. Yeah.
Have you seen my shoes?
Yeah, he had fallen asleep in the forest,
Yes.
and he couldn't find his one shoe.
So we had that, and we also had another dude who wanted to fight us because we didn't have weed.
Oh yeah, I remember that, the Danish guy. Yeah. Yeah.
So and how atrocious the bathrooms were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'd rather want to go behind the building and pee than to go down there in the lake.
I remember someone going in there with bare feet and just stepping in the ocean of love.
Yeah, those. I have a lot of fun memories from that time.
Yeah. Okay, FriendOS. You're the main man behind what was originally known as FriendOS. What problem did you feel needed solving for you to start that project?
Well, I wanted something that had this integrated, modular, spatial feel to it as Amiga OS did, and that had more elegance and beauty in the design. And I wanted something that was how do you say it? Didn't look like IT architecture like Unix does, or actually had a kind of architecture, unlike Windows, which is just an iterative mess.
And just getting worse.
Yeah, and also I thought like you had the different trees, or let's say, you have different roots building families of systems.
Yeah.
And the Unix tree is just humongous. Then you have the DOS or whatever Windows is, which is a very narrow tree with React OS, and there are some spin-offs and so on, Windows NT. And I was very interested in seeing if it was possible to do something about the roots and the tree of Amiga OS, and if it was a family there, like you had ROS, you had MorphOS. Yeah. And as I dug deeper, I saw that Amiga OS had kind of borrowed or bought out Tripos.
Yeah.
You had Syllable, which came from Atheos, which was inspired by Amiga OS. And I was like a hang around in that project. And I wanted something, but I wanted something that I could also access online. Because I realized that what was, let's say, RX on the Amiga could be JavaScript in the new era.
Yeah.
And of course, it was also a little bit influenced by, was it Bill McEwen or Jim Collis? They were talking about Amiga Anywhere.
Yeah, those guys, they were using that system that they called Amiga Anywhere.
Yeah,
which was basically a system created by that former Commodore guy. Tau was it not?
Oh yeah, they used it was a mix of different things, but the whole vision of it was appealing to me, and I think Apple has done something similar to that. They're producing the watches, the TV, Apple TV, and this was the same kind of idea, just out of Commodore or Gateway or whoever owned it at the time.
Yeah.
And so this was my attempt at doing something similar.
Yeah. You are now working on Kin. Is this a fork of FriendOS or a compatible project?
You could say it is a compatible project, but FriendOS is not a big deal, so it doesn't really matter if it's compatible or not. But it's a total rewrite from scratch. Has no fragments of FriendOS at all. But it ends up becoming the same idea, only better engineered. It's so much better engineered, and now it's not a prototype. So FriendOS, the funny thing with FriendOS, and it's in the nature of being a startup as we were, is that we had a demo for investors to get funded. And so it was just hacked together. And we were never allowed to rewrite the prototype. So we kind of just evolved the prototype onto milestones. Now we have file storage. Now we have chat. And all these features were kind of demo-y, like showing to investors and other people, look what we have, and then not being able to tie up the loose ends. So Kin is just, so FriendOS actually was written top down, like first what you see and then building the stuff. Kin is built bottom up.
From the ground up,
so it's all C code. There's no scripting in the core. It's written for multi-processing. And so it's really the result of over a decade of thinking.
What does Kin do that you think traditional apps or platforms fundamentally can't?
Well, first of all, it goes further in the direction FriendOS was going. That an app can be in the browser and it can be on the desktop. On any device, all this stuff. It really tries to, let's say something people can relate to. It really tries to deliver remote access in the same performance and in the same feeling in the user experience as when you use it on a local machine. So if you have a computer with Kin on it and you access it remotely, you don't feel any slowdown, really. And so that's the kind of goal, is that you have a really truly online computing experience, but that is personal. So it's still personal computing, but it's truly online.
Okay. Is Kin trying to replace apps, unify them, or redefine interaction entirely?
Let's see where it goes. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I thought I did with FriendOS was to really try to kind of replace Linux or replace Windows, or like to go in that direction. I see the kind of philosophy that Kin and FriendOS share as more about personal freedom and how you gain access to technology. And so right now, I think the thing I can correct is to make a native version of Kin. So what Kin actually offers is a desktop environment that you can log in from the login manager in Linux. So you have XFCE, you have Cinnamon, you have Mate, you have GNOME, KDE, and now you have Kin. And so Kin will not try to become the new Linux kernel, but it will layer on top.
A new desktop.
Yeah, exactly. So so Kin will be to Linux what KDE is to Linux. And the thing that is one of the cool features is that finally then Linux will be able to be adopted by organizations who need central management. So you're going to have like, as long as there's Kin on this Ubuntu machine, you can log in with your company credentials, right? So you'll have user management. You'll have just like Active Directory. And the remote desktop is not streaming pixels. It's like super fast. And what is it that you can't find on Linux, really? It's terrible with remote desktop. It still uses these Remina, VNC stuff. You have no machine, but it's still all really, really slow compared to what you're used to with Citrix and Microsoft Remote Desktop. So it's really to put Linux in the same, let's say, in the same lane as Windows and Microsoft. Finally, that Kin achieves that.
Okay. Who is Kin for, and what can you use it for today?
Office, collaboration, sharing files, getting access to everything you'd need to access to run your company. Set up LAN parties. I think for demo parties, it would be amazing. You could have a place to submit your stuff, your contributions if you have a demo party. It would be a great kiosk system to, if you want people to have access to features and interact with a database or, something at a party or an event, but that they wouldn't have to have their own computer where you could have viruses and those type of things. So I think as a general purpose system to offer masses of people access at a low cost, or to replace Microsoft and the whole cloud that everybody's paying so dearly for.
Long-term plans. Where do you see the project in 5 to 10 years?
I think, of course, Kin is part of the agentic era. And just now seeing these turbo quant 1-bit models. I mean, what's happening is that they're taking these huge enterprise AI models where you need to buy these H100 NVIDIA Blackwell, tens of thousands of dollars graphics kits. And they're squeezing them down to fit on a phone, essentially, with the same intelligence. So there's an intelligence revolution, and Kin is definitely going to be part of that wave. And so a fully agentic operating system where the user controls the AI, so it's local AI built into the system. It's as safe as your hard drive. But what's the benefits of this? It becomes a secretary for you, a friend, a real...
A friend,
it becomes a friend. It becomes Kin. So it's the same lane. That's where I'm thinking. Keep in mind, as we've seen with the Genie 3 demos from Google, the future is not HTML, it's not UI toolkits, it's not specific graphics user interface technology. It could be just a video stream that just shows you what you want. So the real investment goes into what's happening on the server, what's securing and refining the data, giving you access to the data, and taking care that it's protected and so on. So I think the core of Kin is going to continue to be refined into being a really hardened, high-performance, secure data management and processing engine. And the UI will be more and more agentic, like a dynamic movie, let's say. Very fascinating to see where this is going. And it's already happening with these world models that you can download on a beefy Linux setup and already start playing with. So in 5 years, that's probably totally mature.
Okay, cool. Is the project open source, or is there a company or companies behind it?
It is open source. It will soon be unveiled. Some components have already been put up on the GitHub repository. There is a company with 3 partners right now. So, but more information will come out down the line.
This is taking quite a long while. This interview. We better hurry up here. End part. Do you think the internet changed creativity for better or worse?
I think we've had a bad time since Facebook came along. I think
social media then.
Yeah, I think social media made the internet worse. And not to go too much into it, but I think everybody felt that suddenly they had to compete with the entire world, and they felt small.
Yeah.
Before social media, you could be part of a community where you're special.
Yeah.
You could get a role in the forum or in an IRC channel. People knew who you were. They remembered your nickname.
Yeah.
Forget about that in Facebook. It went back to families and network and stuff. So I think that had a negative impact. And I also think that a lot of corporations basically took the territories of the amateurs that used to basically rule the internet.
Yeah.
So when the corporates moved into the internet, they displaced organic movements and people and activity.
Yeah.
But I think it may be coming back because the agentic era is the time of the underdog. And now you have one-man bands building software that competes against corporations. So I think we may see the comeback of real people with a ferocious appetite for innovation.
What about AI? Will it be the death of creativity and even the demo scene?
As I already started, I think quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Once people realize what it is, once people really realize what it is, when they realize it's not ChatGPT,
yeah,
that it's something else. If you look at, for example, projects like OpenClaw, Nanobot, OpenCode, it's just a completely... The point is that part of your development team is now agentic tools. Yeah. Just like back in the day, you had kind of similar things, like, multitasking came. You started having, access to open source tools that you before would have to pay thousands of dollars to acquire. So it's just about gaining access to more and more power as a creator, right? And so I think AI will probably enable a lot of people who have amazing minds with fantasies and ideas to do amazing things that they could never do before. And so for people watching, I think they'll just have access to so much more. So it's going to be an explosion of creativity.
Okay. If you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Oh, that would be a lot of things.
Yeah, but just one thing, the most important one.
Oh God, that's a hard one. I think probably
stay away from women.
No, I think it would be something to the effect of I would tell myself to be more realistic. I think I was way too hazy in my head about reality and what I should focus on. And I could have achieved much greater results if I were more realistic.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I think it's impossible impossible advice to give. Yeah.
Okay. Any shout-outs or greetings you'd like to send out?
Again, I won't be specific, but everybody who's been part of my projects before, friends, people I've interacted with. Yep. This is a cool opportunity to share with everybody, and you guys know who you are.
This one turned out to be quite long. This is just my second one. The first one lasted for 10 minutes, so I think we did a little bit more here. But that's all. Thanks a lot for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure people will enjoy hearing your story.
Okay, thank you.